Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today we're going to be doing No Surprises by Radiohead. This is the first Radiohead tutorial I've done, but Radiohead is one of my favorite bands. From about the ages of 16 to 19, I didn't listen to anything but Radiohead. My friends used to get really frustrated with me. They'd be like, hey, check out this new band I found. And I'd be like, hey, check out this poorly recorded, obscure Radiohead practice session. Anyway, I really enjoy doing this one. It's a lot of fun to play. Let's just get into it. Okay, let's start off with the intro, and I recommend getting the chords and lyrics chart. I put a link down in the description. That's going to help you follow along and see where the chords you play line up with the words. So the intro has that cool melody that's kind of the signature of that song. It's the... Before we do that, let's look at the underlying chords that are happening there, because those are going to pop up all throughout the song. Here's the structure for this section. Notice we have an F major. We're going to do that like this. So it's an inversion on a regular F major with the C in the bottom, C with the thumb, F with the middle finger, A with the pinky, and the left hand can just play the note that the chord is named after, which is going to be an F. Next, we've got a B flat minor. Of course, the left's just going to play a B flat. So you can come up on your second finger there, do the B flat, and then the right hand can do a B flat, a D flat, and an F. We're in a nice kind of slow 4/4 time. That means that both these measures are going to get 4 counts. So it'll be like F, 2, 3, 4. Then again, F, 2, then B flat minor, 4. So it beats 3 and 4 of that measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's get to that cool melody that happens. I'm gonna actually, for the very beginning of the song, I'm gonna take both hands up an octave. So we have this bass note here, this is middle C here, and then we've got this nice high sound for the right hand F. And we're gonna break it into this arpeggio. It's gonna sound like... And to get the rhythm there, we need to think in eighth notes. So instead of just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, we're thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're gonna put notes on every single one of those counts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the pattern is, of course, staying just in the shape of this F chord that I showed you. A, C, F, C. That's the whole pattern here. Because after that, it just repeats again. And it takes 3 of those before we get to the middle of the second measure where the B flat minor hits. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then we have this cool thing. It sounds like... So we're gonna move our thumb down to the B flat. We've got B flat, D flat, F, G. Now I'm using my thumb, second finger, third finger, and fourth finger. It might feel like a little bit of a stretch. That'll help it be smooth when we get back to the... You can still step up to your pinky to kind of start that again. It also helps if you kind of pivot your wrist and follow the movement of the melody as you come back up there and start rocking back and forth again. Let me just demonstrate 2 repetitions of that. I'm just gonna do the holding the bass notes in the left hand kind of in this middle octave. And it's important, I think, to start the song really quiet so we have plenty of room to grow throughout. So also notice I am holding down the sustain pedal so that it all kind of rings together and sounds pretty. You just have to do little lifts anytime the bass note changes. I made a video all about sustain pedal lift timing if you need to check that out. The intro in the Radiohead recording is 4 times through that, and halfway through the drums and acoustic guitar come in, and that keeps it interesting. So rather than just do the same thing the whole time, I'm gonna do the 2 repetitions here like I just did. And then for the second 2 repetitions before the verse starts, I'm gonna move down an octave. So that kind of has the effect of like the mid-range acoustic guitar coming in. It's a little bit more powerful. The final thing I will add before we move into the verse would be just a little bit more rhythm in the left hand. So that is, I'm just gonna do extra bass notes on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then not here. So just in that first measure, that's what the electric bass does in the recording, but it's totally optional. Okay, so let's do the verse. Here's the chord progression for the verse. It starts on that F, but there's a few new chords we got to look at. So we've got the F, and it's 2 measures of that. Then we've got this B flat major 7 over D. Now a B flat major 7 could be played like that. It's a little bit tricky. We're gonna thin it out. We're not gonna bother with the second finger on D. The /D means that the bass note is actually a D. So we're gonna play that D with the left hand. It's a really pretty sounding chord. And the transition in the right hand to that chord from the F is really simple. All you gotta do is just drop that thumb down. The F and the A stay the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So 2 measures of each of those chords. Then we have just 1 measure of a G minor. So based on how I have my left hand, I'll probably just do my 4th finger on that G there for the bass note. And then it's a G, a B flat, and a D. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up to a C major chords, just nice and simple root position. C, E, G with a thumb on the C there. C, 2, and then that measure is split in half, so the second half of it will just go up to a C sus4. All that needs to change there is that E needs to step up to the 4th finger on an F. And to finish it off, we just have a pass through of the chords from the intro. The F, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, B minor, 4. I'm gonna sing through that first verse, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of rhythm in the right hand. I'll start doing quarter notes, so just playing the chord on every count. Again, just keeping it gentle here. We're gonna grow louder and more intense as the song goes on. A heart that's full up like a landfill, a job that slowly kills you, bruises that won't heal. And then we would be in the second verse. You look. Couple little thoughts here. In typical Radiohead fashion, there's a lot of layers that are happening in this song. There's a couple different guitars and keyboards or some sort of chimey instrument. The melody that we learned at the beginning, the ba-da-da, actually kind of continues through the verses. I am not going to play it and sing it at the same time, though. I think we need kind of that just like chunky, solid sound that the acoustic guitar gives on the recording, but it's just us on the piano here, so we got to kind of pick and choose the roles we're playing. So I'm just going to stick to the chords. When we have those instrumental moments in between verses, like bruises that won't heal, and we're just hanging out here, you could go back to that. I might just keep doing the chords, but maybe I will do that melody whenever I have one of those B flat minors. We're already through a lot of what you need to know to play this song. One final detail that I will say that is optional for these verses is just adding a little bit more rhythm in the left hand, like a heart that's full up. Just gives a little bit more movement to do it on these kind of off beats in between counts, like 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So if that feels natural to you, I think it makes it sound a little groovier. So we've got that second verse, just like the first verse. The third verse is a little different only because it kind of cuts off a little bit shorter before it goes straight into the chorus. The third verse only does, I'll take a quiet life, a handshake of carbon monoxide, and no alarms, and then we're in the chorus. You can kind of think of that like a pre-chorus, but it literally is the same as the other verses. It's just shorter. Okay, so let's do that chorus. The chorus is really simple. This is all we got. It's the same chord progression and lyrics 3 times in a row. It's G minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, C sus4 for the second half of that measure. And so it sounds like no alarms and no surprises, no alarms. Yeah, same thing 3 times in a row. Not too much else to say about it. On the recording, some of the instruments kind of anticipate, like no alarms and no on the and after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. You could do that. I think I'm just going to keep it simple without the drums and everything to play off of. It just feels like it makes it a little bit messier and trickier to play. So after those 3 repeats through the chorus, we're landing right in the bridge. Now the bridge starts off right with that melody, and the bridge gets really quiet. That's after the no alarms and no surprises, silent. You're very silent with it. So I'm going to keep my left hand down in the octave it's been, but I'm going to bring my right hand up back to where it was in the very intro for the 2 silent moments, and that's just like the intro melody. Then we've got this line that's a lot like that third verse where it's just the 2 measures of F and the 2 measures of B major 7 over D. But for this part, for the bridge, I am going to play the arpeggio while I sing it, including on the B flat major 7 here. So let me show you how that's going to work. So I'm actually, when the singing starts, I'm going to move my bass note up to this F, the higher one. It's going to sound like this. This is my final fit, my final bellyache with. So there was one other little detail that wasn't in the third verse, which is stepping down to that E bass note, just doing an F over E on the last 2 counts of that measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm just going to keep that rhythm, that back and forth thing we were doing on the notes of the B flat major 7 over D chord. So, you know, that's just A, B flat, F, B flat, repeated for the length of the measures. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and that's with the singing. And then we just go right into another chorus, just like the one before. No alarms and no surprises. That chorus is just like the first one. The only difference is stuck on to the end of it is going to be after no surprises, please. We're going to have a measure and a half of F to that B flat minor. And I'm probably going to do the there. So, you know, that is just a theme that's coming up throughout. Then we get to the instrumental section. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in this instrumental section. I'll just show you the chords first, and then we can fill it out a little bit. So one thing that I'm going to change is starting here, I'm going to start doing octaves in the left hand. So my bass notes feel more powerful. If that's a big stretch for you, you can keep it to single bass note. But I'm going to do octaves pretty much from here on out in this song. So we've got 1 measure of C, 3, 4, and then B flat minor, 2, 3, 4. I'm just doing a little bit of that offbeat rhythm in the left hand. It's going to do that twice. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1 measure of G minor, 1 measure of B flat minor, and then we just roll into the final verse. But like I said, if you want, we can fill out that instrumental a little bit more. Here's what the first part's going to sound like. And then it just does that exact same thing again. So what I did there is I hit that C sus4 just really quickly before stepping back down to the E. So these kind of become melody notes, and then hitting my thumb on C. So we get this little ba-da-da. Now technically those are 16th notes. It's like if we're counting 1, 2, 3, E, and I try to stay away from counting 16th notes in my tutorials. So you can probably just sort of feel that out by ear. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, da, 4, doing some offbeat rhythm there. And then when we get to this B flat minor, so that's just all on 8th notes. B flat, D flat, F, G, A flat, G, F, D flat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the left hand here, totally optional, but just so it feels like it's moving, I'm gonna do a little rhythm on. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 on the and 3 when we're on the G to A flat. Sounds good to me. After 2 times through that, you get to that G minor part. There's this cool like upward strum on the guitar that happens there. We can kind of fake that like, if you want, just going top to bottom on that chord. And then once we're in that G minor measure, it's gonna sound like this. Basically, within the context of playing this G minor chord, we're going to create this melody of G, G, A, B flat, C, and the timing there is 1, 2, and 3, 4. And essentially you're playing like a G minor, G sus2, G minor, C, but we kind of hear that upward melody happening. 1, 2, and 3, 4, kind of mimicking that rhythm in my left hand. And then this part's really fun. For the B flat minor, we're gonna do this. So just quarter notes, but the left hand is stepping up this melody, just B flat, C, D flat, E flat, and you can just hear it really pull you right into that final verse. Such a... So I'm gonna play that whole instrumental and then just kind of keep going so you can see what happens from here. So again, right when this instrumental hits, that's when the octaves start in my left hand. Such a pretty house and such a pretty garden, no alarms and no surprises. So that fourth verse, I was doing octaves in the left hand. This is kind of like the climax of the song. Notice I did the really super low Fs and then I decided to move it up. I think that actually sounds kind of cool to be like 1, 2, and 3, 4, but doesn't matter too much. You can feel that out. And then we went right into that last chorus, just like the other choruses, except I was doing octaves. No alarms and no surprises. I'm just gonna play from here to the end of the song. And no surprises. So here's the third repetition. No alarms and no surprises, please. So notice I went back to single bass notes there. Please. I ended up on my third finger because it was between the octaves. And then it does it one more time. Just getting nice and quiet here. So just kind of slowing down there as we do the final and end on F. Now, you'll notice I did a little extra thing in my left hand to kind of mimic what the bass does on the recording there. Totally optional, but I did a D flat, B flat, E flat, and then the F. And the timing on that is when you get to this B flat to start doing that melody, that's when the left hand hits the D flat, and then they just kind of, on the same rhythm, go in opposite directions for a second. Really nice. And then just holds it on the G, and then you can just end on that F chord. And then the song is over. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I'm going to play the whole thing now so you can see how all these parts we've talked about just fit together in a full cover of the song. If you got some value out of this and you're not already subscribed, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Turn on the notifications by clicking on that little bell so you won't miss any of my videos in the future, and then give it a like and let me know in the comments what songs you want to hear next. Actually, this one was a request, and when someone wrote it, I was like, yeah, duh, I should totally do that song. So anyway, here's my version of No Surprises. That slowly kills you, bruises that won't heal. You look so tired, unhappy, bring down the government. Speak for us. Such a pretty house and such a pretty garden. No alarms and no surprises. No alarms and no surprises. No